what about the Trump officials who spent years talking about it, but now that they're in power, don't want to talk about it?
Donald Trump did something untoward, unethical, or worse.
We're seeing healthcare premiums about to spike. Republicans don't know what to do with our healthcare conundrum we have in this country.
I have another CNN panel lined up for us to jump into, this time with Kaitlan and Scott Jennings, as he attempts to defend this failed administration, the Epstein files, and all this new information coming out. So if you can, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. We really want to get to 30,000 subscribers, and let's hop in with some fact checks ready.
Scott, can I ask you, because you're criticizing Democrats who weren't talking about this when Joe Biden was in office, but are talking about it now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely
true.
true.
But what about the Trump officials who spent years talking about it, but now that they're in power, don't want to talk about it?
Look, I don't know what the internal conversations are at the Justice Department or at the White House about the propriety of releasing these documents.
I mean, it's a great backpedal, but we all remember for years under Biden, them screaming, release the files, and that he was protecting them because of Bill Clinton and all of this and that. It's literally how Kash Patel got his notoriety. Now, when we saw Trump come into office, you even saw Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, literally like campaigning. They obviously weren't campaigning, but going around publicly saying, we're going to get the files out, saying Pam Bondi saying they're on her desk, doing photo shoots with influencers of binders. This is phase one. And then we find out that Trump's DOJ tells Trump, hey man, like you're everywhere throughout these files. Like your name is all throughout them. And then the leaks of how close Trump and Epstein actually were started to come out. The photos of him at his wedding, the close letters, every day's a secret, right? And MAGA instantly 180. Like we all saw you guys do that. So like the backpedal now, like we know what you're doing, right? The difference for Democrats is the files were sealed until 2024. They're unsealed now. They can actually be released. So we want them released. Democrats actually had their hands tied. Meanwhile, MAGA is tying their own hands in hopes that it will protect their cult leader.
It's a really, really rough week for Republicans and Donald Trump. Affordability is an issue that Republicans don't want to deal with. They're putting their head in the sand. Prices are rising. People are going to have to pay higher costs for Thanksgiving meals coming up. We're seeing this. We're seeing healthcare premiums about to spike. Republicans don't know what to do with our healthcare conundrum we have in this country. They failed the American public year after year after year. And then Scott Jennings. I mean, he just said it in the last block. I mean, everybody knows that Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody tried to hide that. And so, yeah, you have to wear around your neck that you were friends with one of the most notorious pedophiles in the history of the country. And there is a trove of evidence that deals with his actions or inactions. And you said you were going to release them.
I mean, it's lie after lie this administration is being caught in, corrupt act after corrupt act, really. And we're finding out that there's truly no red line for the MAGA base. Like doing warmongering isn't enough for them to disavow Trump, even though they pretended to care so much about being anti-war. Saying price increases and job loss isn't enough, even though they pretended to care so much about inflation under Biden. Protecting PDF files isn't enough, even though they were screaming release the Epstein files every day under Biden. ICE and the National Guard attacking U.S. citizen children, the elderly, veterans, all of that, while Trump says, well, they haven't gone far enough. Well, that isn't enough for MAGA, even though they only have guns to protect against a tyrannical government. I mean, I'm starting to question what the red line is, right? I think it's the color red. I think if you have the R by your name and you're the color red, you can literally do whatever you want for these people. It seems they're determined, no matter what, no matter how disastrous and objectively a fail this term is or has been so far, they're going to pretend it's a success so they can then go, Trump is a top president in our history. Like, that's what they want to do. And they're going to do it no matter what it actually turns out to be.
He's lived through these things before. He's lived through these kinds of, wild goose chases before. It's all designed to tie him up. He recognizes it. He doesn't want his own party members to fall for it, but I think a few probably will.
I think some people might dispute the wild goose chase part, just given obviously the victims that are at the heart of this and the survivors.
No, regarding him, the Democratic allegation, it's thinly veiled, but the Democratic allegation is that Donald Trump did something untoward, unethical, or worse. You hear people say it on television day in and day out. They've not tried to hide the misleading of the American people, and there's not a shred of evidence.
Yeah, see, this conversation is going to go exactly kind of how I thought, which is not interesting to me, and it's why eventually I was like hesitant to even get into the file stuff, but like Republicans are just going to retreat all the way back to, well, if there's not a literal video of Trump doing it, then he didn't do it. And, in 2025, if there was a video, they'd probably call it AI at this point. Like, I mean, of course, this is also despite the fact just 2 years ago, they were saying, undeniably, objectively, for an overwhelming fact, Bill Clinton for sure was in this ring of elite PDF files just because his name is on the flight logs a few times. But Trump being on the flight logs, having personal letters he sent to Epstein, emails in which Epstein describes Trump with the victim at his house, and a close relationship that Trump tried to hide. Well, no, guys, that's not evidence of anything because he's a Republican. Yeah, that's MAGA for you. It's all just a coincidence, guys, because he's a Republican. But yeah, I mean, guys, this is what it always comes down to with MAGA. Like now, no evidence is evidence unless it's a smoking gun. And even then, they'll probably just even if there was a smoking gun, they would just layer that with, oh, well, anyone ostensibly on this list or anyone on this list that's ostensibly on the left is makes it equal. And you guys are just as bad, even though like Bill Clinton could go to jail, right? Like, I don't care. But Trump can't, according to you guys. So it's like, what's the comparison here?